Hey! Alright, so quick update today. Hopefully you guys had a wonderful Easter weekend, got a chance to see some family. I had dinner with mine, they're kind of inside of my little quarantine group. So that was definitely really nice. And I've been mostly fixing bugs, though I've also had a chance to make a couple of little improvements as well. So let me show you just start of that. The big headline feature is this updated recent transaction display on the Explorer page. That's something that I've been meaning to get around to for a while, but haven't quite had a chance. So what we're seeing here is everything's been linkified. So if you want to see a particular account or something, you can kind of explore that. You can go and see transactions, specific cards. I just sent this out as a giveaway to a guy on Reddit who was interested in our project. Yeah, feels good. Nice kind of incremental improvements. Good to always clean up and polish more and continue to make things better across the board. In addition to that, I've been making some fixes and changes to the present system. One of the big things that I think it's important to do now is start reducing the amount of rares, especially that we give away. As you guys know, we haven't always been the most careful about scarcity and creating kind of an urgency for people to buy. So to that end, unfortunately, the days of lots of rares being given away by the dropper are gone. And the chance of getting a rare from a present has been reduced down to 1%. Overall, this is, I think, a good thing for the community at large, because people who have flowers of higher rarity benefit from less of them being created. We did the same kind of thing with epics, I don't know, 6 months ago or so. We used to give away quite a fair bit of epics to the early adopters, but now we never give away epics, basically. At some point we might introduce some like 0.01 chance, 1% chance or something, but still it's going to be pretty much the end for that. Yeah, I've also done some fixes. I've updated some of our roadmaps which got out of date. I've removed some of the cards from our recent contests from the dropper pool, in particular the throwbacks set and the April Fool's cards. So all of those are officially, done. They no more will be created, and the people who have them, hopefully those ones kind of increase in value as well over time. Yeah, I did some other nice little stuff. Like, for example, you can see here I've created this presence config file. Some of this was more hard-coded in the code before, where we had just, like arrays inside of the source. This is much cleaner. We're able to put these IDs for market flowers directly in here. We have all of our chance stuff here. We have the projects that we support by name, and everything actually respects this set. We have another library that is able to understand these titles and convert them into actual contracts and function calls and stuff. Yeah, and then the way that these guys work is that these are market flowers. So if I go back to this page here, oh geez. All right. Yeah, we have this like listing ID thing, which people generally don't really even know about, but yeah, so this ID corresponds to particular market ID, and you can actually get to these by clicking this little tag here, so you can see that up here. Yeah, so nice incremental improvements, nothing too fancy. Probably going to be a pretty short video. I'm not sure how much of this is like super interesting to see me just like kind of adding links to source code and changing configs. I can give you a quick look at what I've done there. So for example, we have this transaction display component, again in React. So, again, kind of going over React a little bit, we have React is a system of components that are driven by state. You can see we pull in some stuff, like we have a little component for being able to render cards. We have components for being able to render people's usernames based on their accounts really easily. And then ultimately, this is just like a bunch of data stuff. So we receive currently ongoing transaction or events from Ethereum for when people either transfer their flowers or they're transferred via OpenSea, or our minter transfers them by minting them. We're able to, get the addresses. I create custom links using a component that I call Go, so you can like go to a particular URL. Some of this stuff does Google Analytics tracking, so we know how often particular buttons are pressed to see if they're being effective. And then ultimately down here, this is like a little return statement. We are just doing more or less normal HTML React stuff. So, it says card and then number card ID, and this is a link, and then it says TX, and then shows you the transaction hash and links to Etherscan. From to, pretty straightforward. Nothing particularly impressive there. I wanted to briefly also show how I do the deployments. So right now I'm going to redeploy all these changes that I've been making over the weekend, fixing stuff, changing drop rates, making some slight improvements. Basically, I have these config files that are related to Kubernetes cluster management. If you took a look at our server overview video of how the microservices are structured, we use these kind of config files to organize the servers. We can tell them how many instances of a particular service we want. We can control all sorts of network stuff. We can give them names that are used for DNS resolution and whatever else. But in particular also there is this version number here. So we call this particular version of the image game server 1.13. And then I've just updated that from 12 to 13, so we're pretty much ready to go. And then I have this magic deploy script, which I wrote, redeploy game server, for example. And this is a shell script. It goes and builds the Docker file, so it builds like a containerized version of the service. It pushes it to our Google repo, where it has all of our containers and all of the versions in the past. And then it reapplies this deployment file that I've just been showing you there below. And then finally we wait to see what the result is. So let me show you that in action. So here I am in our repo, and we have a bunch of our Docker files and stuff. And I do Kubernetes redeploy game server. And it says, do you want to redeploy it to version 1.13? And I press Y. And there it goes. So this is going to obviously take a little bit because it has to make this virtual container environment. Docker containers are not exactly virtual machines. They're just kind of this encapsulated file system which has everything that it needs to be able to run inside of a container management, which is also provided by Google Cloud and Kubernetes. And so this is going to make a little virtual environment. It's going to copy our source into it. It's going to run the various build scripts directly in there. It's going to install whatever dependencies it needs using Alpine Linux, which is like a really stripped down minimal Linux distribution, particularly good for servers. Then it's going to push that up to the container store. It's going to tell it to reconfigure to the latest version, which is 1.13. And then it's going to ultimately do a prompt that shows me whether it succeeded or not. So pretty cool, pretty fun, nice, simple, couple step, way to update services and have them dynamically out there. And then also at the same time here, I'm going to redeploy the web server because there was also some front-end changes. Some of the numbers changed. We saw the update with the transaction display and the pagination, so you can see historic transactions as well in the Explorer, which is nice. It doesn't go too far back. We only track like up to a certain amount of blocks, but it is pretty nice to be able to flip through these and see, oh, okay, AK sold some stuff to Foston, and people have been getting present drops, and oh yeah, there's a bunch of napalms. And, I sent something to cryptography at some point as a test just to see if I can, have this here. Thanks cryptography for being a bro in general. Good stuff. We can see people producing neat strains. Yeah, pretty cool. Wow, this family tree. Right, okay, so let me start the web server deployment as well. So here I'm making a new terminal inside of my NeoVim setup here, and doing the same thing. Yeah, this one just says redeploy server because that's like the main web server. And 2.18 is the latest version, so here we go. Start building it. All right, well, yeah, this is gonna run for a little while. I will show you the rest of the recording there just for, completeness sake. But yeah, I've had a pretty long day in general. A ton of meetings. We're hearing about how to best structure our pitch deck, how to best approach marketing. We're getting a lot of advice from the UC Berkeley people about these kind of areas of our business, which we ourselves are not that great at. We heard a talk from one of the main marketing specialists at Oracle today. Later on in the week, we're hearing from people from Coinbase, Ripple, Robinhood. Definitely some pretty amazing talks that are coming up, and if I get some good nuggets, I will summarize those for you guys and post them here as well. Otherwise, yeah, everything's kind of moving smoothly. We're working towards the physical dispensary partnership. Pash is handling a lot of that, and yeah, things are well. Things are well here. Nobody's sick. Hopefully things are well with you guys as well. Hopefully nobody's sick there. I'll let this play out, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.